Whew. You are indeed first, good sir. How are you doing, you guys? So we are at our we're almost at 26,000 subscribers, believe it or not. I find it hard to believe. 25,000 was kind of a milestone. 26 just as important because it means we have 1,000 more people in here supporting the channel, supporting me, and learning to code at the end of the day. So today is Tuesday. It's about 2:30 Eastern time. Normally I would be at work at this time, but I decided to take a day of PTO, and I was a little bit worn down from driving all the way back from New Orleans home after Hurricane Irma had passed. But that's neither here nor there. What I wanted to say essentially is thank you to for those of you who are new, the 1,000 new people. What I like to do is every 1,000 subscribers to the channel get, I like to do a live stream where we sit, we talk, I answer your questions. You get something an hour long, something to listen to at work in the background, and have some fun with it. So for me, so first off, thank you guys for watching, and thank you for joining into the first 25,000. Thank you for being here. Are my cats safe? Yes. So we, April and I took all 3 cats with us. We drove down to New Orleans, and we stayed in a Motel 6. There's going to be a video vlog showcasing the shenanigans involved at this Motel 6 and the trip eventually. Everything is good. A little bit of dirt in the house, but nothing broke. Nothing. Everything was solid. We had to throw out some food in the fridge because power went out for a couple days. A couple of our neighbors' windows were broken, and a tree fell down. And I'll showcase that in the vlog. Big 20, 30-foot tree fell down and basically blocked off 2/3 of the. I don't want to call it a road, but the road in the parking lot where you kind of go around your complex. So that happened, but we are all good. Is it hard to find a motel that allows pets? No, not really. Motel 6 allows pets. The thing is we tried about, a lot of the motels allow pets, but we tried about 100 different motels on our way out from Tallahassee on out, and unfortunately, they're just all booked. Florida had something like 7 million people evacuate. We were in an evacuation area. We left the day before. We had a mandatory evacuation because I don't know too much about flood zones because it's not something that happens in California all that often. But flood zones essentially are areas that are more likely to flood. And Zone A is the most likely. Zone B is the second most. And it goes all the way up to E. So we were in Zone B. And so when they evacuated Zone A, we said, you know what? Let's go. Let's not stick around, right? What's the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario is we're here and it floods and we're completely hating life and going on a mission, right? The best case scenario is we leave nothing at risk. Our cats come with us and we pack up the car with our canned goods and all that. So yeah, it's tiring. I'm exhausted right now, but I wanted to do this live stream because it's probably the only day I'll be able to do it in a while. The cats were fine, man. They meowed a little bit. Milo threw up on Tito, and about 20 minutes into the drive, we had to clean them off. But after that, they were good. Unfortunately, getting out of Florida to New Orleans took about 19 hours, which is normally about a 9.5 to 10-hour drive. And then getting back in took about 12 hours. But, yeah, so it was a little interesting. I definitely have some videos and to showcase I don't want to use chaos. That's pretty dramatic. But the shenanigans that was going on with getting gas and people running out of gas and traffic, and we had to turn. We packed up. We had everything prepared except I didn't really anticipate how. I thought, okay, well, my tank can go about 400 miles. and I was like, we'll be able to get gas at 400 miles. So I didn't really think we were going to need a gas canister, and I wasn't convinced we were going to leave anyhow until the storm actually curved closer to the Tampa Bay area instead of going up the East Coast like everybody said. So that was really the deciding factor when we left. And so gas was the only thing we didn't have. Now we have 2 gas canisters. We brought them back with us when we came back from New Orleans. But yeah, everything's good. Just had to throw out some food. Use some PTO for Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. Today, slept in until about 10, which is about 4 hours longer than I normally do, and just trying to get back into the grind, right? Get back to life. Start a new job on Monday, and this job on Friday. And unfortunately, I had to use some PTO for the last 3 days. But I'll work late the next 2 days, make sure everyone's good. And I'm always, as a developer, you should always make yourself available if you want to be on good terms with your previous work. So if they have some questions about your code and things like that, I think it's important that you answer those calls and that you know, maybe they'll even pay you. I know I'm not going to do this, but I know several developer friends who they had to actually call in other developers that used to work for them, and they charge 5 times their hourly rate. And the reason for that is because, you know, it's outside of work and they charge a premium. It's fine. But that's one way of handling it. Personally, I probably just go in and spend an hour, and if they want anything more than that, I don't imagine that to be the case. I'm going to finish up my tasks before I leave and all that sort of stuff. But it's been a long week. So anyhow, the reason I like doing these live streams every 1,000 subscribers is I want to give back. I want to try and offer one way of, you know, one guy's thoughts on your problems, your issues. So if there's any topics, any questions that I can answer to try and help out, I'm happy to do that. I am a little fried, to be honest, just because we got back here at about 11. That was about 12 hours of driving. I basically spent 2.5 to 3 days in a Motel 6 watching Law and Order. I couldn't get the internet. If some of you saw, I did a live stream a couple of days back. I tried to do a live stream in the hotel. It came out awful because of the bootleg ass internet, which is just one of the great features of the Motel 6. Yeah. Will there be a lot of coders not staying in Florida? You know, I don't think. I think you just have a lot of people who decided not to stay and risk it, right? So, like for me, I don't own this apartment. I have flood insurance. The only thing that matters is April, myself, and the cats. And the only thing of value we took with me was my PC. Everything else we just put on top shelf. We left it. Said, hey, if it's here when we come back, great. If not, hopefully insurance won't be shady and we'll take care of it. I filmed a video before we left of all our stuff, right? So Ahmed, welcome, sir. So but yeah, so it's been a journey. Just doing life, right? 26,000 subscribers. Pretty exciting. For those of you who don't know, I'm working on a how to make a coding channel course. Pretty excited about that, actually. I think it's going to be a unique project that hasn't really been covered. And a lot of you guys seem very interested in it. So I think not only will I enjoy making it and can provide value, but I also think that it'll be something that you will enjoy. It'll be my first course I've ever made. So I don't have the biggest channel in the world. 26,000 isn't a lot. It's more than I thought I would get anytime soon. I promise you that. But I do think that if you want something to help you get started with the coding channel and really understand what it can do for you, I think I can provide some insight. So I wanted to have my first course be unique. And it's hard when you're competing against, you know, developers with 20 years or 10 years experience and stuff like that. So like for me, I always want to put out a quality product. So this is something that I thought I could do very well at. So I'm excited to be working on that. I wanted to have that done by the end of this month. It doesn't look like with the hurricane and the job transition and all that that will happen, but it'll come soon. So that's exciting on my end. Definitely doing the podcast with Nicholas Spinoza, who is a Hack Reactor grad. Just left his job for a new startup. He was before that was working at Bank of America, and very smart guy, very in depth into a lot of these more complex things, such as functional programming and all this great stuff. My school, Full Stack Web Dev, is in a different city, so it takes me 4 to 5 hours from door to door every day. Whew! 4 to 5 hours of driving round trip. This is why I recommend Dev Mountain, man. Dev Mountain includes housing. I get super tired each day and can't do as much as 4. I understand, man. 4 to 5 hours is going to kill you. Those are LA traffic rates, man. Will the fog machine be included? Hey, you guys see if you've been on the Facebook page, you guys are catching on. Some of you guys are jumping on the bandwagon of the oil diffuser. David Yang, welcome. So 26,000, pretty cool, man. It's an interesting thing having a YouTube channel, because for me, it has become so much more than just a video portfolio, which was always the goal in my case. I wanted to show somebody that I'm a passionate developer and I can explain my code via video, and I will continue to get better. And it's become such a cornerstone of my life that it's not something I ever expected, which is very, very humbling and very exciting. Which is why I'm excited to make the course, so that you can kind of do with it what you will, and maybe I can help you avoid some of the mistakes I made along the way. Speaking of trying to get started, right now there is a great Humble bundle on, it's called Tech Job for Dummies. I'm going to throw it up in the chat here if you guys are interested. But they, if you're a fan of the Dummies books like I am, they have for $1 you can get your Dream Career for Dummies, Resume for Dummies, Job Search Letters for Dummies, and Productivity for Dummies. If you go up to 8 or more, you start getting books on how to get a coding job, game development, social media, LinkedIn profile optimization, and getting a web development job. But it's something that I think you guys might be interested in. So I posted the link in chat. It's also in the description if you're interested in that. I think this I'm gonna include it in a video coming up. But I think that for $15 you get 12 books all on how to get jobs in software, how to have a better resume, how to have a good LinkedIn, all stuff I've been talking about. Here's some books, and even if you pick up a couple things, it'll teach you a lot of good stuff along the way. Keep doing what you're doing. You'll be at 50K before you know it. Hey, man, 100K or bust, baby. We're only 26% of the way there. That's an F. That's an F. We got to get out of the F zone. So I want my play button, man. I really do. But yeah, we're working hard. I'm not going anywhere. I enjoy this too much. I really do. The money's okay. I don't make a ton of money, but it will always get better as you get larger and stuff like that. And I'm learning to monetize it in I wouldn't say I'm learning. I know how to monetize it, but now I'm actually implementing the monetization, which I don't know if you guys have ever got paid for doing something you love. It's much better than doing something you love and not getting paid. Okay, so it makes it that much better. You know what I mean? That's all. That's one way of putting it. Not a very clever way, but it's just definitely a truth. How much content would be enough for a video portfolio? You did mention that was your original intent. It kind of depends, right? So in my case, I was doing like Codecademy tutorials, free code camp tutorials. It depends on what your goal is. If you just want to build your projects out and showcase it that way, that's always cool. For me, I was just trying to put up as much content as possible. I think it's about the quality of your content. If your goal is really a video portfolio, now that was my goal. I don't necessarily say that I implemented it the best. I think if you had projects on your GitHub, if you went and actually did a maybe a tutorial showcasing how your project works, the features it has, and then actually walking through the code, that would be one way of creating a video portfolio. And you could do that for just a single project, on a single project basis. Am I investing in cryptocurrencies? I am indeed. I'm using a lot of these very shady, earn 1% a day back sort of things through Control Finance, although it looks like that one's about to shut down and we're all about to get scammed out of our money. There's also BitPetite, which is pretty cool, which BitPetite.com. If you're interested, let me go ahead and throw in my affiliate link so you get a little bit of extra money and I get a little bit of extra money. But essentially what BitPetite is you actually are lending your money for 6 or 9 week increments. And you're earning back on the weekdays. On a 6-week one, you earn 4.5% interest per day. And at the end of your 6 weeks, you'll get 147% total return, or basically 47% on your money in 6 weeks. So there's my link right there. If you use it, you'll get a little bit of money. I'll get a little bit of money, all that sort of good stuff. But I am investing in cryptocurrencies via BitPetite. There's also another one I'm using, which is Bitconnect. Bitconnect is interesting in the fact that the way that it works is they don't actually guarantee you an interest rate. The way Bitconnect works is they have their own software that buys and sell high and low. That's the objective of it. And your money, based on how much you invest, you earn an interest rate back on that. So let's say they earn 5%, maybe you get 4% of it. I don't know the exact breakdown, but you get a percent of interest every day based off how well their algorithm does. You don't lose money that day, but you get a percent back when you make money. And if you're interested in that, to help me out and for you to get started, there's the BitConnect one as well. And the way that it works is you get your interest back, and you can get, I've seen people get as high as 58% back in one month. Don't expect returns like that though. That is a very high return. For some reason, it won't let me throw that in there. Huh. Thinks I'm spamming my own chat. How strange. Yeah. It's bitconnect.com. And if you want to use my reference number, it's coding360. But at the end of, depending on how much you invest, at the end of 299 days, you'll get your entire deposit back in one bulk statement, one bulk description. And on top of that, you'll also get your interest back daily, and you can withdraw it in however much you want. Now, all the things I've told you about are very, very high reward, high risk, and a lot of them are considered scams at times because they do eventually shut down. But BitConnect is probably the most respected. Control Finance looks like it may be shutting down this exact moment. And then BitPetite, I've had no issue. So when you are going about investing in these sort of cryptocurrency trading investment companies, do know that it is highly volatile, highly shady. We're talking about digital money at the end of the day. I'll definitely put in the description as well here. Well, I forgot to put the link in there. So BitConnect there. And then if you guys are interested in the Humble book bundle, I'll put it right below there as well. You may have to refresh the page to see the updated portfolio, but BitConnect is in there. And well, I'm at, but yeah. So I invest that way. Have you looked at Bitconnect's GitHub? I have not looked at their GitHub. It's totally a Ponzi scheme, 100%. I would not even try and tell you that it's not a Ponzi scheme. So there's definitely aspects of it that are Ponzi schemes, and so I wouldn't even try and argue that's not. You like Robinhood? Robinhood is a legit non-Ponzi scheme. Wait, but again, I also say that we're talking about digital currency. So I have like about $1,000 spread out between the three of them. So if you do take that chance, just know what it is, right? So the bulk of my investments in cryptocurrency is just me buying on Coinbase. And if you're interested in that, I will go ahead and share my link with you, and you can get $10 first time you buy or sit on some, where they actually keep their referral code. But Coinbase, I have some money going in Coinbase right now, and basically I'm just sitting on it. I just buy Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin whenever I can, and sit on it. Although right now I bought some and the market's crashing horribly. So I think I've already lost about $20 for the day on my $300 purchase. Yeah, I do buy cryptocurrencies. But this is what I'll say: if you are looking to get started with cryptocurrencies, have it be at most 1/3 of your total investments. Because all this stuff, guys, is really the sort of Wild West sort of, you don't know what's going to happen because it's never happened before. So be prepared when you use something like Control Finance, when you use something like Bitconnect, BitPetite, be prepared to lose that money. And if you don't, great. But truly just understand that Coinbase, you're going to do fine. But because all you're doing is sitting on it, buying and selling, you actually have that. The other place is you're actually giving your money. And here's my Coinbase as well. If you guys, oops. You want to get your Coinbase there, you'll get $10 of free Bitcoin when you buy or sell $100 worth. How is your area after the hurricane? Electricity is up in some places, not everywhere. Gasoline is still out, and the grocery store, we just went to Walmart. A lot of the shelves are still empty, so it's slowly coming back together. I think most people will slowly get all their shit together, piece by piece. But I mean, we are at a stage where, you know, people just got back in town like yesterday, basically. But you know, what can you expect at the end of the day of, you know, everyone is slowly but surely going to restock, and you know, there's water now. It's not like the you know, the Walmarts are empty. They just don't have everything. Do you foresee the groceries to find their way back to stores? Yeah, of course. When we drove in, the roads had been cleared and we were able to drive in, but I would say about half of the places on the way back in had electricity. I know that my corporate office in Tampa doesn't have electricity, while my work in St. Petersburg does, and my house does. So it just depends on where you're at. It's just one of those things. It's just they're getting it all back up slowly but surely. But I mean, it is going to be a process, right? So I don't know how the hardest area hit was in the Miami Dade area county, which is in South Florida. And last I heard, I haven't checked today, but yesterday they said that 70% of the county was without power, which is a lot of people, man. So you have 70% of the county without power. I'm sure they're working on it. And when we drove in, we saw 20, 30, or 40 trucks, electrical trucks, driving in like they're going to war, man. Just one after another, going in to handle business, I guess. But you'll see all that in the vlog when I get to it. Tried to be an affiliate for Udemy for my YouTube channel. I started up and got denied because I don't have many subs. Hey, man, it can happen. You can indeed trust Postman, the JSON API. That's fine. How was the Udacity React course? So the first third was great. The Redux course needs some work. I because of the new job and because of the hurricane, I haven't finished the Redux part, but I plan to get back to it probably in the next day or two. Probably this weekend, really, is when I'll be able to dive into it. Maybe not even this weekend. I want to kind of review a few things before I start the new job. You don't want to go in there as a dunce on day one, right? You want to hit the ground running. But I'm very happy with it. Would I recommend Udacity, Coursera as learning alternatives to boot camps and colleges? I think it's a possibility. I definitely think it's not out of the realm of possibility. So it kind of depends on how hard you want to work and how hard you're going to work and how focused you're going to be. A lot of people think they're going to do one course on Udemy or Udacity, and all of a sudden they're going to be a coding god. It doesn't really work like that. It's kind of I mean, it can for some, but a lot of people, I say this before, and it's not about how hard you can work. It's about how long can you work hard for. And a lot of people can do it for less than 2 weeks, is what or a weekend sometimes. It's like I think it was God, I'm forgetting. It might have been The Rock. I forget who said this, but someone said, it's so funny to see people say #grind at 10:30 when you've been up since 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., actually grinding. I don't think people really who are grinding it out actually go and say #grind. So, I mean, that's the thing is, I've been working hard for like 2.5 years, maybe 3, where every single day I've been working at making myself more valuable, more educated in software. And a lot of people, and I truly do mean this, I would say about 90% of people can't work harder than a weekend. And then they have to go back to whatever it is that's important to them, more so than studying and getting better and making more money. It's easier to complain about not making enough money than to actually do something about it. And to do something about it, you have to work hard for a long period of time. And if you can work hard for a long period of time, you should get there. One thing, and it's very easy to see, because I've do a lot of these mentoring sessions where I'm talking with people. They're saying, how can they, they want to know, like, hey, what can I do to get better and this and that. And a lot of times it's just, are you coding every single day? If you're not, you're really not trying hard enough, because that's the bare minimum, right? But one of the surefire ways to tell that somebody isn't grinding as hard as they can, at least when I talk with them, is they always compare themselves to somebody else and say, well, so-and-so got a job after he or she studied for 3 months and then they were good. How come I can't get a job? And if you're really sort of trying to, I'm better than them too. How come this and that and that? Don't worry about what they're doing. Learn from what they're doing and take it and try to make yourself better. That's one of the things I've always really noticed, and it's pretty easy to see. Because when you're actually working hard and you're grinding it out, you ain't got time to worry about what anybody else is doing, because you 24/7 you're in this, man. 24/7. Can freelance work count as work experience? Of course it can. You can build a portfolio that way, and you can put it on your resume and go from there. Hey, Anthony F., thank you, man. Yeah, it's very interesting, right? So as my channel has been around for a little less than 2.5 years. And on the beginning, you saw a really depressed college student in computer science trying to build a video portfolio and get better at coding. And 2.5 years later, you saw, I guess at 1.5 years, you saw a developer get my first developer job. 2.5 years later, I'm getting my second developer job and continuing to grow and mature as a developer and get better. It's definitely been a journey. Neil Floyd makes a very excellent point that the people who got a job that quick do a year's worth of work in 3 months. That's very true. One thing that I have trouble answering for people is people ask, how long have you been coding for? Because it's not really how long you've been coding for. It's how much have you coded? How many hours have you put in, right? So if you and I both put in, you and I started learning to code a year ago. I put in 5 hours a day and you put 2 hours a day. And assuming that we learn at the same rate, I'm probably twice as good as you are, right? And so if you're putting in 30 minutes a day, you're going to get a 30-minute return. That's why I find it so funny when people are looking for one learning resource. You shouldn't have one learning resource. You should be putting in so much time that you've knocked out all learning resources. You really should. You should, okay, well, I want to try Codecademy and free Code Camp. Try that. That's free. It's interactive. Cool. That was a little basic. I'm going to build something of my own. Nice. I've heard good things about Colt Steele's Developer Bootcamp. Bam, let's jump into that. Oh, what's the new framework? Let's go ahead and go through the documentation, the YouTube videos, and you just start going through it all, man. If you really are trying to learn all this stuff, you will slowly but surely go through it all in one fashion or another. I understand it's hard, though, because a lot of people are broke and don't have a lot of money. But all the courses on like Udemy, you can pick up for 10 or 15 bucks on a sale. And they'll keep you busy. One course can keep you busy for 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the size of the course and what you got going on. And the other thing that's upsetting is people all the time say, people all the time go, well, I have a job, and so did I. So having a job isn't necessarily the end-all be-all of studying to learn development, right? Is it an obstacle? Of course it is. Life has obstacles. Very few of us who are adults now will be able to go home and live at our parents' house, not have to work a job, and just study 80 hours a week. Very few. So you have to find what will work for you while you can still get a number of hours in, right? I would love to stay. As much as I hate living with my mother, if I could live rent-free and I could have stayed there and studied instead of working, 45 hours a week in Los Angeles, I would have done that in a heartbeat. My name is Scott, and after studying with Treehouse after 6 weeks, I got a job as front-end developer. Is that even possible? It's definitely possible. I would imagine there's a little bit more to that story, but nothing's impossible, guys. Really, if you are an eager guy and you got it, and someone's just going to hire you as an intern, unpaid intern, low-wage intern, of course it's possible. Some people pick this stuff up quick, man. And you don't know either. Maybe they've been doing it for a while, and that 6 weeks is actually they've been doing it as a hobby for 2-3 years. I would find it hard to believe most of the time, but it's not impossible. Where did you see that? Is that on their website? 6 weeks? They got a job? Did they get a job at Treehouse so they could put that quote up there? But starting at 0 to 6 weeks? I mean, think of it this way, guys. Boot camps are 10 weeks, right? So we're saying a little 60% of a boot camp. And we see that a lot of boot camps have been successful. So I mean, it just kind of depends. Ed2Go course, I haven't seen it. That guy was a CS student before. And see, that's what I'm talking about. This is not there had to be something else. That's what I was trying to get at. So it completely makes sense that he was a computer science student or grad beforehand. Although they probably don't tell you that until you click on the link and read the fine print, right? And Russ Wilkie says, if you're talking about Scott Koch's story, he also mentioned he was coding with other resources since 2011 before going to Treehouse. That's what I'm talking about. It's highly unlikely. It's not impossible. I don't want to say impossible. It's highly unlikely, right? How helpful was your college curriculum in learning web development? So on a scale of 0 to 0, it was a 0. Okay, so it was. I will say one thing. So you don't learn any web development. You don't learn any web development in a CS program. You might have one course on HTML and CSS. Very, very basic course on HTML and CSS. That's it. I didn't have any JavaScript courses or anything like that. I will say that it did help. It did help. I had about 5 or 6 programming courses, and the main point of those courses was that it does help you to learn how to think like a programmer because you're doing courses, right? No, my coursework was in Java. It wasn't in C++. But I had a course in Python. I had a course in C#, C++. But the bulk of my coursework was in Java. I also had a course in Scala. So it just depends. Should I learn PHP or Node.js for backend? You live in Tampa? Kind of depends. There's a lot of PHP jobs. There's a lot of Node.js jobs. I know that since I have work experience in PHP, I get a lot of people interested in working in PHP with me. I don't want to work in PHP, so I turn them down. I'd much rather work in Node. I like JavaScript. I think JavaScript's going to just continue to grow and everything like that. But in terms of how helpful is the curriculum, honestly, if I was to give it an honest 1 to 10 scale, I would give it a 3. And the reason it gets those 3 points is because at the end of the day, I was coding, but it had nothing to do with web development. It had helped me think like a developer a little bit. But the other 7 out of 10 is all me on my own time. Am I still thinking about going to Rasmussen University? This is something I've been. This is something that I've been debating about for a while, and I've decided not to. There's a lot that goes into that. The main thing is I don't need to, and I don't want to take out debt. And it was going to cost me about $15,000 in debt. Now, it may happen in the future where an employer pays for it, but I've just got a new job, and having interviewed with a couple different companies, I kind of could tell that it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, for me anyhow. I kind of felt like I was going backwards instead of forwards. I don't know. And it's just one of those things where I understand that it hurts me to a degree, but there's a lot of things. Well, I mean, forget the platform. Let's just talk about for me specifically, getting a degree. Is I study all the time, every single day. This has actually been, in 2.5 years, the longest I have gone without writing a single line of code. And that goes because I spent 3 days preparing. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, right after work, I had to go get supplies. I had to go get gas. I had to get water. I had to go get flashlights, all this sort of stuff. And when shit's out of the stores, out of that, you got to do multiple days. I had to get my car fixed, oil change, new battery, all this sort of stuff. And then I was expecting to have internet in the hotel, and I didn't. So I haven't actually written a line of code in 6 days, and I'm kind of going stir crazy about it. And my brain is still kind of jumbled. So I'm probably going to work on YouTube stuff tonight. And then tomorrow I go back to work, and I'm going to study. But this has been the longest time by far, probably twice as long as my longest. Yeah, they need a Category 5 hurricane to stop me from coding, man. That's the truth. But yeah, I tried to do some algorithms on code fights. But the internet was killing me, so I had to give up on that. Am I still pursuing algorithms? Putting on the shelf to focus on React. So the algorithms on code fights, I did about 80 or 90 on their site, Russ, and I really enjoyed it. But right now I am focused on 2 things, actually 3 things. New job that I start on Monday, the React Now degree, which I plan on finishing up, and then my my coding course, my coding channel course that I'll be working on. So that will be what my main focus on. The reason for doing algorithms is I wanted to put myself in a position that I felt like I'd be learning JavaScript a little bit better, and I did. I became much more familiar with a lot of the array methods that are built into JavaScript, and just wanted to kind of be able to prepare myself that if I needed to take a technical interview, I can, and I will pass it. And I would say, with the fact that I got a new job at work, so but yeah. So although I enjoy doing those algorithms, they are very time consuming, especially now that I've 90 deep in them basically. I don't imagine that I will continue with them, just because there's really no reason for me to. There's a lot of other things. They serve their purpose of making me more prepared, of helping me learn JavaScript a little bit more, just think a little differently, which is great. But in terms of spending time doing it, will I get something out of it? Of course I will. Will it be the best use of my time? No. So I have to kind of figure out what I want to do in terms of the best use of my time. And right now it's the React Now degree, preparing for the new job, and closing out my current job, and building my How to Create a Coding Channel course. And after that, start studying all the new stuff I have to study at the new job, right? So every workplace you go to is going to be slightly different. It's not like they're going to have the exact same stack. They're going to have different tools that they use, different, maybe instead of CSS, they use Sass or less. So you got to, brush up on that. Different testing environments, all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that you have to get caught up with. and you want to do it as quickly as possible. So I got to refocus that. In terms of the CS degree, where we were talking about that before, I think for the most part, if you were to ask me, should you go and get a CS degree? Yes, if you can. You know, if you're starting from zero and you have the ability to, and you're not going to tag out a ton of debt, it's not a bad idea. But it's not the only idea, which I think is one of the things that a lot of people have trouble wrapping their minds around. A lot of us, myself included, I've talked about this, is I have this fear that if I don't go and finish my degree, I'm going to be a failure and I'm one day going to be homeless. It's a very unrealistic fear at this point in my life. And but it is something that is deeply, deeply ingrained in me. Can React replace jQuery? Should jQuery be avoided? No, it's not going to replace jQuery. Should jQuery be avoided? Not avoided, but there are other frameworks and libraries that are more valuable. A lot of websites still use jQuery. You should still be familiar with jQuery, and you can build a couple projects in jQuery and move on. I think if you're going to try and land a front end role, you're going to need Angular 4 or you're going to need React. That's going to be where your focus needs to be. I got a new position. I put in my 2 weeks about a week and a half ago. A great opportunity came along and kind of fulfilled what I was looking for. And I'll dive into that more in the future. I don't really want to talk about it too much in detail right now. But yes, I have a new employer, and I'm very excited about getting started with them. I really liked what I saw, who I met, and what we'll be working on. So pretty excited about that. I use Angular at my job. Yes, I use Angular. Why am I learning React? Mainly two reasons. One, React was growing faster than Angular 4. Two, I tried them both. I'm going to learn both, but React seemed like something that was a little bit more fun, a little bit better for smaller projects, while Angular 4 is really for those massive enterprise applications. That was really it. I just happened to like React, and I wanted to do a nano degree program for a long time. And when they had their sale for $300 on the React Nano degree program, I kind of said, okay, this is going to seal the deal. And I dived in that direction. But also from a employment standpoint, say there was an Angular 4 job, the fact that I have Angular JS experience maybe will let me slide into that Angular 4 position if necessary. That was kind of a thought process as well, because see, I have worked with Angular. Granted, it's a whole different monster and beast, but some things do carry over. What's CSS Grid? I think he's talking about the grid system in BootStrap. I think that's what he's talking about. Unless there's something called CSS Grid that I'm not familiar with. He took the full stack now degree and it was great. I heard a lot of people liked it, and one critique I heard was that they didn't feel like they felt like React should have been a part of it, which is a fair statement, I think. But if you've gone through it, you should by then have the skills to learn React on your own through a couple courses or whatnot. It's not BootStrap? Okay, I have to check it out. I haven't touched it yet. Hey, Dylan, I was wondering if I could have some help. I'm going to help a friend with their website redesign. They want to have a WordPress site on their live site, and I was wondering how I could do that. When you're building a WordPress template, Eric, excuse me, there are a lot of things that you have to build for it. I would say get started by watching some. If you have Treehouse, I know they have a whole WordPress section. If not, jump on YouTube, see if you can find how to build a WordPress template, because there are a lot of I think they're called hooks, where essentially there's functions that are built into WordPress that you have to call to connect a part to another part, and so on and so forth. But there's a special way to design WordPress templates, and you're going to need to follow that. I have not finished the React Now degree yet. I plan to. I have plenty of time. I think I have till like December or November or something like that. And also, one of the things I did was not only did I want to take the now degree, I just want to have something else to throw on the education section so I could have a conversation starter. That's really all my education section is. When I have the React Now degree and I have the free code camp, you know, I don't have a CS degree, but I do have something on there that they look at that and say, what the hell is this and what the hell is this, and then I can, you know, sell it and kind of explain, well, you know, this is 500 hours of coursework focused specifically on front-end web development, HTML, CSS, jQuery, 12 projects, 40 algorithms, you know, so on and so forth. And then same thing with the now degree, which is another reason I decided to do it. How much of your previous position was actually coding versus meetings and planning? Well, my previous position, I was a technology trainer. And what that basically entailed was I had to make, occasionally I would do wireframes. This is the most, I'm going to start with this because this would be the most complex and relatable stuff. I would have to create user stories and wireframes for upcoming feature requests or upcoming features. And that would be the most relatable information. The rest of it was communicating with clients, gathering requirements, going to meetings, building documentation, building training materials. So not too much, to be honest with you. At most 10% of my job, my previous job. So my current position as a web engineer, 100%, 95%. We've probably had 4 meetings in a year, like 4 real meetings where we've sat down, talked, hashed it out. You know, very few meetings at my current employer. So, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't valuable experience just because 10% of it was doing stuff that I thought related better. What was great about it was not only did I get to work with developers and see, you know, it was the first real developer shop. And granted, I had an internship and I worked contract position with them for a while, and then I freelanced. But I was able to work at a real software company where people are developing enterprise applications, and you know, there's 20 software developers. There's 5 database guys, some technical support on the lines, and got to see how people architect projects out. Got to get introduced to tools and like Jira and Confluence, and introduced to how a agile shop works. All these sorts of great things that really, that made me an attractive candidate. Because okay, I've worked in agile. Granted, I haven't coded, but that's one thing that's there. Kind of like some of the things that I'm excited to work in my new work is we're doing test-driven development, which is something I've never done before. What that basically means, in my understanding, and this, again, I've never actually worked in test-driven development, but it basically means that we have our tests that are already written, and our code need to pass all the tests. It's almost like the algorithms on code fights is how I see it, where you have a bunch of use cases that you have to make sure that you code for so that you're writing solid code. You're essentially writing code to pass the test, not hard coding, of course, but you need to make sure that your logic is sound so that you can build a nice application. So that's test-driven development, which is something I'm excited about, as well as code reviews, which is something I was hoping we could implement at my current work, but never came to be. So these are all great things that I'm excited about for my new role, that I think I'll be learning a lot in the process. User stories. The users get whatever we fucking give them, right? Is that how we do it? Goddamn users. Oh, man. Jesus. Let's see. You stopped at the Twitch API project. Should I finish the front end, start in free code camp, or hone HTML with scroll bars and responsive design to make my portfolio better for job prospects, or both? Should do both, man. Don't necessarily. One thing that people kind of get burnt out on is if you are really on a project that you just don't want to do anymore, and it happens, right? So maybe the Twitch API project, you're just struggling with it. Something's not clicking, some issue, whatever it may be. It's okay to pause that and work on a second project. In this case, maybe making your portfolio look a little better, maybe building a portfolio website, something like that. It's okay to do that. You don't always have to hammer on the one project. Don't get more than 2 or 3 though, because then you'll start bumbling around. But it is okay to have a second project where you say, look, I am completely and utterly burnt out on this. Let's go do this. And it happens to me. When I was doing the algorithms, I was hammering away, knocked out 40, and then I got stuck on 1 or 2, and I just didn't have it in me to sit down for 5 hours to do more algorithms. So what did I do? I went and I started learning Node, and I started doing the microservices projects on Free Code Camp and stuff like that. I just started because I want to always continue learning. And the second it really becomes unfun because I'm just smashing my head against the keyboard, it's okay to back off and go and learn in a different direction, right? Maybe I'm going to watch some tutorials from Traversy Media to get better at I think I saw part 2 of DOM manipulation, which is something that traditionally I'm very poor with vanilla JavaScript, and I want to get better, which is one of the reasons I chose the React Now degree as well, that I mentioned earlier. But I have a video coming out. It's funny because Eric just released a video about how to get hired. I haven't watched it yet, so I'm going to watch it. I think my points are going to be slightly different than what he will do. When will I do the back end dynamic web applications? I don't know, man. Those are so time consuming. And the fact that they're getting removed, I don't know. Maybe I'll do it in a paid course. That's really the only way that I see that being worth the time, to be honest with you. Because each one of those is probably going to take 5 to 10 hours of actual sitting down and coding. I don't know. I just think it's kind of weird to do free content and then make a paid course for it, so I haven't done it. And if I think it's weird, it probably is. So, it's not about the template code, man. It's about sitting down and familiarizing myself with all the aspects of Passport, Express, MongoDB, Mongoose. So the hiring process for my current job, it was for my upcoming job, I should say, start on Monday. It was about a 10-day process, maybe a little longer, a little less. It's all kind of a blur last couple of days. Started off with a recruiter reaching out to me, answering a couple of recruiter questions. So that's step 1. Sending my resume in, and sending my resume in, and that was step 2. From there, they were interested in me, so I had a phone call with I believe it was 2 individuals on the phone, and that lasted about 30 minutes. Some basic HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Angular questions. Not too technical. So that was the phone call. So that was part 3. Part 4, I got called into a technical interview in which I met with 2 developers and a person from HR. That took about an hour. Did a whiteboard problem, answered some questions. For me, they're always going to be a little, because I'm originally from California. A lot of times people are very concerned that I'm looking to go back to California. And this is just something to kind of get my foot in the door sort of thing. I'm not looking to go back to California. So I had a technical interview then, which they basically gave me an algorithm. I have a video going over that as well, talking about what your typical technical interview is like. And this was filmed 30 minutes after a technical interview I had. I think it's going to prepare you guys very well. So that was part 4. After that, they sent me I passed that, the technical interview. After that, I got sent a take-home project. After they approved me, I got sent home a take-home project that took about 2.5 hours. It really probably should only taken about 1.5 hours or 1 hour, but I got I was pinging an API they provided, and it was returning nothing when it should have returned something when I deleted or updated. But I just didn't look through the documentation clearly enough, so I spent an hour and a half trying to figure this out. And then I eventually went back to the documentation and saw that it's supposed to return nothing because it's just for testing purposes and hiring purposes, which is the hardest part. So it wasn't anything too outlandish, pretty straightforward. And then part 6, I had to go in. I met with the big bosses and someone from HR, and they just kind of dived deep into me a little bit more as an individual. Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. And then the offer was made, and we negotiated for a little bit, and I accepted. How are the cats doing? Very well. I'm doing good, man. I'm exhausted. It's tiring. In about 4 days, we were in the car for about 30 hours. My sister lives over west of St. Petersburg at Treasure Island. Any advice for her flying back in? No, I mean, everything, the roads are clear. There's not any major flooding in St. Petersburg. There is some power out in Tampa. I would just say just have a ride set up. That's it. Did they check my channel? They will always check my channel because I include it on my resume. It is one of the #1 selling points of me as a developer. It shows a couple of very important things that people are looking for, especially when hiring junior developers. One, are they passionate? If you're putting up a video every day and you enjoy talking about this stuff at the very least. Granted, my old videos are more code heavy. A lot of stuff we're talking about now is more topic oriented because I'm spending a lot of my time studying. But still shows passion, shows that I'm learning, shows that I enjoy this stuff. And those are all great traits to have. And did you have to take time off work for the on-site interviews, or do you just leave work early each day? It worked out that because the time-wise, I was able to go after work. So I go in very early, sometimes 6:30 a.m. in the morning, get off 3 or 3:30 in the evening. And so because it's local, I was able to scoot over and do all that. But yeah, I know they checked my channel, not only because I put it on there, but one of the developers that that really intrigued me for the role was starting a podcast, and he said, "Hey, I saw your channel," and he gave me a compliment, which is very nice of him, saying, it takes dedication to commit to something like that for so long, to put a video up a day. And I just want to commend you on that. He's very nice about it. And I really liked talking to him because it is equally one of the things that I always look for is I want to work with people who are sort of as passionate as I am about developing, and kind of, you know, when someone says, if I'm working with a developer and they say, we're going to be switching to test-driven development, and they've never touched it like me, I want them to have the same response, like, hell yeah, let's do something new, instead of, oh, okay, you know what I mean? So when someone has side projects, that's when recruiters always tell you to ask questions at the end of the interviews. I never really have anything to say. I usually just kind of try and sell myself and tell a little bit about myself, what I'm looking for. But one thing that I do ask now is, what side projects are you working on? And if they don't have any, it starts concerning me. Or at least one person doesn't, right? Usually you'll interview with 2 to 3 developers, and if all 3 don't have any, start worrying, right? Some people want to have lives outside of work. Is that bad? It's not bad. I'm not saying you can't have a life, but like for me, I consider this part of my life, right? And also, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with not having side projects, but if I'm saying as an employee and I want to devote the next year to 2 years to 3 years to 5 years, whatever it may be, of my life with people I want to work with, and I want to, here's the thing, guys, when you're a developer and you're in demand, it is as important that your work wants you to be part of the team as you want to be part of the team, right? And that should go for any job. I understand less so in jobs where you're in less demand, but I want to be part of a team where at least some of the people code outside of work. At least some of the people are as passionate in different avenues than I'm not. And you can be, or whatever. I want to find people who enjoy this. And that doesn't mean that, so if some of us don't want to code 12 hours a day, that's fine. That's completely fine. I have no issue with that. But if one of the things that attracted me, it was that somebody was doing something like that, right? So what languages are you using in your new job? I'll be focused in AngularJS. I have a front-end role, and we'll be moving to Angular 4 in the near future. So. Volunteer side projects for nearby churches. Nice, man. And by the way, I encourage you all. I just re-signed up for code.org to volunteer for Hour of Code. I think it's coming up pretty soon, as well as any organizations. But I like to go in there, resubmit myself into the pool so I can get notified if teachers and stuff want someone to talk. I did it right when I got down here for the Florida Great American Teach-In. But guys, so to summarize, thank you so much for the new 1,000 of you who have decided to subscribe to the channel. If you're interested in some books on how to get a coding job, there's a limited time Humble Bundle with a link in the description that I added midway through the stream. So you may have to refresh the page if you started right in the beginning. You can go ahead and treat yourself to some coding books, and as well as how to make a better resume, LinkedIn advice, all that great stuff for really low price. And for the 25,000 of you who have been here before, thank you as well, right? So we don't only appreciate the new people, we also appreciate the OGs. And one day at 27,000, the new 1,000 of you will be an OG as well. So I like to leave my live streams with a piece of advice, a piece of a final thought, if you will. One thing that stood out to me is the Crusader Rabbit said, some people want to have lives outside of work. Is that bad? So that's going to be kind of where we're going to wrap up our final thought for today. And what are we going to be talking about specifically? We're going to be talking about that as an employer, a lot of times so as an employee, I'm very aware of what an employer wants. They want somebody who enjoys coding 12 hours a day. They want somebody who enjoys software, right? Because there are a lot of people who go and they choose software as a career. They don't really enjoy it. And a lot of that is going to cause them not to be successful. Does that mean that you have to go home and code 12 hours a day, 4 hours after work, and not have a family, not have kids? No. But don't be upset when you're not an attractive hire, right? There's a lot of ways that you don't have to write a single line of code that you could go and still be a very interesting candidate, especially when you're getting started. When when you have 5 years experience, it's not going to matter if you have a podcast for a senior role, right? It's going to be interesting, but it's not going to matter as much as when you have 0 years or 1 year experience and you're trying to move forward. So one piece of advice I would leave you is that if you are just getting your life started in the software realm, is do something to make you seem like you're not doing all this for the money. Do something to make you seem like you want to be there because you enjoy it. Because and if you can find that thing that you do enjoy, I'm not saying lie so that you do it. I'm saying find that thing that you enjoy, that you say, hey, I just got off work coding for 8 hours, but here I can go and do my YouTube channel, or here I can go and do my blog, not because I want to force myself, but because I enjoy it and it's part of my life and I like to do it. And not only will you be a better developer, you'll also be a more attractive hire. So if you can find something that maybe it doesn't even have to involve writing code, but if you can tie something in to show that you have side projects, portfolio projects, websites that you're building and maintaining, anything that really makes you be unique as a hire, that will be what will help you get your foot in the door. So I hope you take advantage of that. And I fully understand that if you have a family and kids and you can't spend hours on a side project and stuff like that, that's not for everybody. It's not realistic sometimes. But if you can, it is in your best interest, and you'll become a better developer in the process. But those are the type of people that I'm looking to work with, because that's the type of person that I am. And I want to surround myself with people who are the best and the brightest. And a lot of times that means that they have side projects because they enjoy it. I want to be around people who enjoy what they do because I enjoy what I do. So that's my thought process on that. That's my final thought. Find your side project. Find your thing that you can do outside of work to make you that much of a better employee and candidate, so that you can get the money you deserve and the job that you want and continue to work towards. So thank you, guys. Thank you to 26,000. 26,000. I appreciate you all. Bye, guys.